Welcome to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I am your host, Robb Leishman, founder of Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing, and this is the place where garage door dealers become true heroes in their markets and businesses. In each episode, I bring you proven strategies, insider stories, and conversations with industry leaders to help you grow your company, lead your team with confidence, and create the freedom you've been looking for. Because in this business, it's not just about fixing doors, it's about building lives, families, and legacies. Let's get started. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to listen to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I'm Robb Leishman, the host. Tanner is the production team, and we have a very special guest with us today. He's one of my favorite people. I feel like we have become best friends and family since working together. His name is Nick Levin, and we have come a long way. And in the very beginning, it was almost like our relationship wasn't meant to be. Nick twisted my arm a little bit, and it has been a ton of fun. I have totally enjoyed working with Nick, and Nick's got a great story. I always try and get the guests that come on this show, I always try and let them know, look, my point and my purpose is to inspire people to take their business to the next level. And Nick has got the story for that. Nick is the story that I think most people, when they start a business, or if they're kind of just coasting in their business and they're not sure what to do to kind of bring things around to take the, grow and scale. I think Nick's story is going to be able to help a lot of us. So I'm not going to talk any more about it. I want Nick to take a minute and introduce himself. But Nick, thanks a ton for coming on the show today.
Yeah, of course, Rob. It's a pleasure talking to you as always. Yeah, so I'm based in Minnesota, and we went on a podcast before, but kind of explained my story. So I was working with my dad. I actually dropped out of college 1 year before graduating because it just wasn't for me at the time. So I ended up working with my dad, who has a garage door company. He still does. But I obviously went off and did my own thing. So, yeah, I dropped out of college, and then I started working with my dad. And I worked with him for a better part of, say, close to 2 years. Right. And obviously I've been doing it ever since I was little. He's had his business for about 25 years. And I knew the trade pretty much inside and out by the time I started my own thing. So yeah, after working with him for about 2 years, I ended up dropping out of his business and wanted to start my own thing. And that was roughly a year and a half today. No, maybe actually just a year. No, I've been doing this for only a year, which is good context for what I'm about to say. So yeah, I started working for myself, and I basically was just like anyone else, except I was bootstrapping, still am, doing the whole thing from the ground up with my own dollar, which is completely possible. I started out with no money, obviously like decent credit, so I was able to pull loans and whatnot to get tools in the truck. But, I started out like a technician, kind of like, what we were talking about in the E-Myth. You start out as like a technician, and you assume that, just fixing garage doors, that's what you do. And, that's part of the reason why I strayed away from working with my dad, because it was kind of that sort of mentality, which I feel like a lot of garage door companies are. But, you tell me a lot that we're not just garage door technicians. We're much more than that. We're business people. So, but yeah, so I ended up working for myself, and probably for about a month or two, and then your son, Cade, reached out to me on Facebook. I don't remember why or how, but he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, can we blow up your business?" And I was like, I just thought that was a scam. I was like, okay, I guess. And then he said, "Yeah, my dad's going to do an audit on your website," because at the time I had a website. I didn't have much work at all. I was just doing, just like quite honestly, probably a lot of people that are listening to this have a garage door company, and they're maybe doing two to three jobs a day. Maybe that might even be stretching it, because at the time I was doing maybe like 3 or 4 a week, which
Yeah.
it's easy to get comfortable with that. It's like, oh yeah, I have very little expenses. I get my work paid for. You get paid at the end of the week, and well, I guess per job, and then it's like, oh, this is great. But I think that's the thing we get kind of stuck into. But yeah,
That
so
is a fact.
yeah, no, and so then eventually I met you. After you sent me that website audit, the SEO audit, and I ended up working with you, and I was doing at the time maybe 3,000 to 5,000 a month, and then literally a month or two later into working with you, I did have to twist your arm a little bit, because you were like, oh, because I told you my state, I was like, yeah, it's just me. You're like, oh yeah, well, I don't usually work with just one guy, and then I was super hyped. I was like, let's go, let's do this. And I promise it's going to be really good, which it was, and it is
It is.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, then a month later, we went to 20,000, and then it went up from there. I think my highest month, probably like 3 or 4 months later, was like 30. And then I met my now partner, which is Carter, and we did 38. And this month, which is a year and 1 month after I went off on my own, we're on the track to 60,000. So
That is so cool. This is so exciting. I mean,
yeah,
I say this to Nick all the time, but I am proud of Nick. Right? I'm an entrepreneur. I have built and sold businesses. I built and handed off businesses, and I love it. It's actually something fun. And when I am able to see someone like Nick just kind of get the glow in his eye, and get the vision and the mission and the purpose. And in 1 year, we've gone from, like Nick said, 3 or 4 jobs a week and 4,000 or 5,000 a month. And this month we're going to hit 60. We're well on track for that. Here it is, the 21st of August. So there's only a week and a half left, and we are on track to hit a record number.
we already beat it. Our highest month was 38. We've already surpassed that. So
there we go.
Yeah. So
there we
always
go.
breaking records.
So cool. So cool. I just want to interject some personal things, with Nick's story and what he was talking about here. I would say the majority of us are bootstrappers, right? The majority of us have a skill, and we want to go into business, and we can do that and sort of generate some income or some cash flow. And the thing is, we kind of do that, and we get 3 or 4 jobs a week or 4 or 5 jobs a month, and we can see the amount of money that can come from that. But what do we do? Because our own personal, there's no momentum there to fill up our schedules and fill up our day. We just kind of keep hoping that jobs fall out of the sky. And sometimes it does. Sometimes that's just how it works. A lot of times, and I'd say the majority of the time, it doesn't. And we need to kind of bring in some people around us to sort of help in a lot of ways, right? Our job is getting leads and lead generation and online presence, but sometimes we need to bring in someone who is a bookkeeper, and we need to bring in someone who's got sales skills, because when we have the skills, in this case, we have the skills of a garage door tech, but we don't have the skills of fully blowing up a business or building a business or running a business. We need to kind of gradually bring in people that can help physically and emotionally, even giving us some direction, giving us some mental clarity. And
Yeah.
Nick has done just that. Because I want to just kind of drop back a little bit, and let's talk about this. Nick mentioned he brought on a partner, right? And we had to grow a lot to get to this point where Nick could bring in a partner. We probably talked 6 months before that partnership gelled, if you will, or came together.
Yep.
Because we were going, are we set? Are we ready? Are we ready to take on hire an employee or a technician? So, and we kept getting nervous, right, about our income and our cash flow. Can we afford to do this? And then we got there. And so, Nick, talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about just kind of the struggles and being nervous and taking on a partner.
Yeah. Well, so one of the biggest things that I've learned in this whole journey is that I don't think, especially if you're doing something from nothing, you've never done this before, I think it's important to realize that everybody was at that point. No one knows anything when they're first starting something. Once you've already done it, you know how to do things, you know exactly what's going to happen. And maybe, you run into some surprises, but realistically, when I took on Carter as a partner, I just knew that, and this is what I was running into. This is why we partnered and whatnot. Like, you can continue working as a technician. You can continue doing, maybe you get 3 to 4 jobs a day as yourself, and you could continue doing that. But, if you think about it in the long run, you're not going to be able to retire. You're not going to be able to sell your business because the business can't run when you're not there. The only time you're making money is when you're putting in effort to get jobs and do those jobs. That's the only time. So it's great in the short term, but in the long term, it's not conducive for an actual career. And so at the time when I met Carter, I wasn't necessarily ready to have a partner. I didn't really think about it. The opportunity just kind of presented itself. And I just thought, okay, if I want to be a big business, I'm not going to be a big business until I'm already a big business. So you have to grow into that by choosing, okay, so I want to grow into becoming a larger business. How do I do that? I have to act like I already am a big business. So when Carter came on, our pay went in half because I was doing what I was already doing, but it's not like that's a really big thing that I feel businesses fail at, is they wait until they're already overwhelmed with business to hire people. Then it's a scrambling game. Then you're waiting and it's too late. Now it's like you don't have the foundation to hire. Maybe you're scrambling to look for people because you're overwhelmed. You're turning people down. So what we did was I had enough where I could handle it. It was a lot, but I could handle it. And when I brought Carter on, it was like it cut everything in half. And it's like, okay, well, now we're at this point where we kind of backtracked a little bit, but now we have the structure and foundation that we're building slowly to grow into that. And now that's where we are. I have now doubled since partnering with Carter. What my original income was revenue, 30 grand a month. Now we're on the way to 60 because we decided that it's good if we do this and we want to be like this in the future. So let's start now. Cut the income in half, and now it's doubled. So I don't think necessarily we were ready. We were ready when we decided we were ready. Or I was. So yeah, I think that's kind of how it all came to fruition. It was also kind of fate, because he messaged me, and the first thing I said was, let's partner. And so yeah.
Right on. So let's back up about something. Did the partnership, let's talk about the separate partners and then coming together.
Yeah.
You guys have been together, I think, a couple months now, maybe 3.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Yeah.
3 to 4. Okay. And so how when you guys came together, you were a technician and he was a technician, and you were still trying to do all things just for your respective areas. And we talked about positions and who does what, and did some restructuring there. And I think this is important. And it goes, I want you to talk about what now, like when you guys first came together, you were kind of both doing all hats and just serving your respective areas. Now we've kind of changed that or restructured that. And I think this is good. This is key for people to hear. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So that was another thing. That's thinking about the long-term play, because again, you could be satisfied with your income, like, oh, I get $300 to $400, in a day, maybe more. And that's awesome for me. But again, it's that long-term play. So we were thinking about, again, how to run a bigger business. And you kind of planted that seed for me. Working with you guys has definitely sparked that interest. So when we first started, me and Carter were doing it. Carter Carter had his own business too. He came to me because he saw I had a lot of reviews. Thanks to you guys. You guys helped a lot with that. So we had a lot of reviews, and he was like, "Oh, can I get some contracting work, just to get some money?" And at the time, I was kind of in that mindset, but shifting out of it, just like, I want jobs. I want as many as possible, so I get as much money as possible.
Sure.
But as we continued, 'cause at first me and Carter were just like, any jobs that I get, I'm going to keep, and then any jobs you get, you're going to keep. And we were just like thinking about it in the technician way of thinking. And eventually we so slowly, as we kept talking and building these ideas, we were like, okay, well, how are we going to scale this if we continue doing what we're doing? So eventually we shifted into this more model of a partnership split pay. So every job that we get, it doesn't matter who does it, we split it, and we take roles. Like, you do one thing, just like CEO, like I'm the CEO, he's the COO, I'm the chief financial officer, and he's some other hats, which eventually we're going to delegate to other people, like you were saying.
Right.
But a big part of that is so that we can scale and grow. Because if we're both just focused on getting as much jobs as possible for me, there's no idea on the business. So, as we continued, we kind of thought about how we can split up pay so that we get to focus on our individual strengths rather than just focusing on that immediate gratification. So that's what we kind of did. So Carter, he's not necessarily the entrepreneurial type. He's not the leadership growth marketing oriented individual. I am like that. He is very good at management. He's very good at the insurance and legality, and then he also is very good at installation. So we're starting to slowly delegate those tasks, and as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to fill tasks like, for example, CSR, like A1 has. We're going to fill that role, because right now we're both wearing that hat, which again, it's not ideal because we can't scale a business if we're wearing all the hats. There's too much to do.
Right on. And that's so important that right now we're still sort of in the baby stages of that, but it's happening, and it's been very significant in terms of change. And here we are. We're going to see. We've already crossed the line into a record month. We're going to have an even bigger month here, and that's what I want to talk about is changes that we made a month ago, 2 months ago. We're seeing that result now. And that's what I want to come back. Just let's back up again. I'm sorry, even prior to your partnership and then having people, human resources that we can delegate and share responsibilities with. You and I got talking about sales. We got talking about the need for sales and not just upselling and pressure selling. We're not talking about that. We're talking about being able to provide the very best service that our customers need, even when they don't know they need it. Yeah. And so you got some books, and you and I went through some role playing on sales and sales meetings and sales strategy. And I think, although yes, having a partnership and growing and having more cash to invest, I think all of that is equally important. But I think your mental space where you were and your ability to communicate what people need has significantly launched your career and now the position you're in, and forgive me if I get this wrong, but now the position you're in is you are the sales technician. You are who makes the call, makes the appointment, goes and visits. And then let's talk about those results and where you're at now in terms of, you know, what that has produced for you.
Yeah. So, and that was another big key role when we were focused on building the business. It wasn't just you look at the whole thing as a holistic approach. So we were figuring out, we were taking it step by step. If someone's in my shoes, whoever's listening to this that's in my shoes, and they're worried about all these things, how overwhelming starting a business and creating all these roles. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It's all just like taking it one step at a time and having fun and enjoying your time doing it, which is why we are successful as it is, because we truly enjoy it. So yeah, we were in the very beginning. I think this was before I met Carter. You were talking to me about sales because we started the $49 tune-up special. And obviously, initially, I was in that technician mindset where I'm like, no, you presented that idea to me, and I just thought, no, I don't like that idea. Why would I go out to someone's house for $49? And then again, we kept talking about it, and it's like, well, the idea isn't to go to their house for $49. And then I thought, oh, you want me to scam them? and obviously, that's again that mindset speaking, and it's not about that. It's about, and I've learned this over time, reading the books and whatnot, doing my due diligence. It's not about going to someone's house and trying to rip them off because you don't want to go there for $50. No, it's we're going there as a business. We're going there to present our top-notch service, showing people we're the best garage door company in the world, and being that already. And putting the sticker on the wall. And then if there are things that are wrong, we will present that to them and just in try to give them the best service possible now, and not. And I heard this quote somewhere else. I want to be the very best first impression and last impression, and I don't want to be your friend because I don't want to keep seeing you. I just want to see you once and give you the very best service possible. So yeah, I learned that through the sales books, and we started converting $49 tune-ups into doors. That's where most of our doors come from. The part of the reason why this month is so high in revenue is because we've sold so many doors. We've sold like 15, 20 probably in this month, and a lot of them come from those tune-ups. We go out to a tune-up, and again, leaving the having the attitude, that's very important. I don't go there expecting money, but I go there expecting to give the best service possible. And then I'll do some of the tactics that I've learned in sales and just try to give them the best service possible. You got an old door, I'm going to say, okay, well, we can do everything from replacing your door to fixing this to maybe doing nothing, and it's up to you how you want to proceed. And that's worked very well for us. So
right on. That's awesome. That is a punchline, guys. It's might not have felt like a mic drop, but it was, because right now, here we are, middle of August, sort of towards the end of August. But for the last month, I have heard from so many guys that are my clients and not my clients. I have heard from so many saying, I'm not selling any doors. It must be the economy. It must be the time of year. It must be whatever. I hear every reason under the sun. I'm not selling any doors. And Nick is record-setting selling doors. In the same time period, so many guys in other markets and even in the upper Midwest markets are saying, yeah, I'm not selling very many doors. Well, we should, and we can be if we do it right. And this is where Nick is just really coming into his own zone. I'm gonna toot your horn now for a minute, Nick. But Nick is coming into his zone. I've known all along that he has a very good ability to communicate and build a relationship with his customers. Okay, and to quote the great Uncle Joe Crisera, in 2024, all large ticket sales are done on a relationship. And so this is so important that we don't just go in and if Mrs. Jones has called us because her sensors are off, we just go in and fix her sensors and leave. We assume that everybody wins. We've got a happy client and you did a job and you can hold your head up high that you did a job well done. But did we actually give her the best service? Because if the next week something else breaks or something else fails, we didn't take care of that when we were there. And there's so much more to that. And it is not high pressure and high stress sales and being salesy. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that those people know that we care about their safety and security, and our specialty is garage doors. Something else that Nick mentioned I thought was really cool. There's people that are technicians and work for a big company or a bigger company, and then there's people that are entrepreneurs and we kind of start our own, and then there's people that are businessmen, business head types that they start or purchase a business and they sit at the desk and still direct things. But for the most part, when we're 22 or 25 years old and we go to work for a bigger garage door company, and we go in and the owner or the manager that's hiring says, well, I'm going to take you on ground level technician, and you're going to do a ride along, and then we're going to promote you after you've done some ride alongs. We'll promote you to be your own technician or installer or various positions. But you go into working for a company with this assumption that in a couple of years, you're going to be the manager or the supervisor or the shop manager or the office manager, or then I'm going to move into sales manager or operations. But we have this assumption that when we go to work for a larger company, that we're going to get promoted, and in years to come, we're going to be something bigger than just the entry level guy. The problem with that is when we become entrepreneurs and we say, I'm going to go be my own garage door company, we don't think like that. We think I'm going to be a technician for the rest of my life. And that's the rut or the hamster wheel that we as entrepreneurs get on. Is we 10 years after we start our company, we're still at the entry level position. We're still doing all the same stuff. We're doing all of the phone answering, and we're doing all the appointment setting, and we're doing the sales and the purchasing, and then the installation, and then the accounting, and we never change, and our business never changes, right? And so that's what Nick has experienced here, is when he put himself through that, through the hard things, making choices to trust other people to handle different aspects of your business. And Nick has put himself in the position that he's good at. And this is what I'm so excited about, is because I'm going to say a month and a half or so ago, I said to Nick, you are right where you need to be when you are just the guy handling the phones to set up the relationship and going out and visiting Mrs. Jones and doing the sales, closing the deal, and having Carter or some other people kind of handle the purchasing and the install and getting it done and making sure we have a happy customer. Yep. And everybody's able to work on what they are best at. Yep. And this result is, Nick just mentioned, I think we've sold over 20 doors this month. I talked to a guy about a week and a half ago that said he used to sell 20 doors a month and he hasn't sold any in 3 months. This was just a week and a half ago that conversation was had, and this gentleman is feeling a little desperate, and I hear it a lot. Mm-hmm. Sorry for taking over the talking so much, but so Nick, talk about real quick. Let's talk about some key points that you feel like that have really boosted business. And I'm just gonna brag for 1 minute. I do know that starting your relationship with Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing, or me and Tanner and our team, I know that that's brought a lot more business to your door. But there's been other people, there's us. We'll just kind of start with us. You met us and we formulated some thoughts and some headspace and mindset stuff. But let's start there and then talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you guys are number one in terms of in terms of marketing and whatnot, we've seen a proportional increase in overall revenue. The more we increase our budget with you guys, you've helped pretty much in every way. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. And I'm not just saying that because obviously, you know, every relationship that you have in your life, in your business, we wouldn't be where we are without those people. But you guys have made an absolutely direct impact on me specifically, on where we are, which is
That's awesome.
Which is awesome. I could, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there's other things too, but yeah, I would agree. Like putting putting ourselves in the position that we're best at. Me, you know, and that took some time to learn what I'm good at and what Carter's good at, and we both agreed that I'm very good at sales. I'm very good at marketing and directing where the business goes, and Carter's a little bit better at, you know, managing the installations, the relationships with some of the bigger businesses and whatnot, and yeah, and that takes some time to learn. And I think if you're someone who maybe they're not great at marketing or coming up with ideas for where the business goes, you know, everybody wins when you're doing what you love, and you can. And if you're in the garage door industry, you probably like it. You're probably here because you like it a lot, and you got to figure out exactly what you're good at. Because when you're doing the thing that you love, not only you win, the customer wins because they get the best service possible. You're doing your favorite job in the world, and they love it. You can feel that. You're not going to do business with someone who absolutely hates their job. Going to the store and you meet someone who's checking you out at the grocery store, and you can tell that they just hate where they are, and it's like, this is very unpleasant. But when you meet someone who's just elated to be doing what they're doing, it's just a wonderful experience. And that takes some time to learn, but that's been huge. And I wouldn't, and that kind of came naturally as we're kind of progressing. But you know, that's how you build a business, and it's not just about being stuck in that sort of rut that you were talking about. It's so common. It happens with most people, and it's not just in business, it's everywhere. You know, staying what you're comfortable at, not realizing that you're worth more than what you're giving yourself. And you know, it goes into mindset and all those things, self-development, and I know people talk about it all the time, but it's important. And everybody wins when you're doing what you love, and
That's
especially when you're growing a business like this. You know, you're growing it will give you more money in the long run. So now, when I'm not working, Carter's working, I'm still making money. If Carter's not working, I'm working, he's making money. And eventually it's going to be to the point where I'm not working at all and I'm making money. You know, that, and it's not just about the money, but it's just a lot of fun. You know, it's like, wouldn't you rather sit at home and spend time with your family and then be making money? Or would you rather be out on the field doing your work, and maybe it's fun, but like, you know, your family's back at home, and you're out here slaving away, and when is that going to stop? And it's, you know, you got to ask those questions. But yeah, that certainly made a huge impact. You know, there's not one thing that made us where we are, but yeah, like I said, it took us a year, only 1 year to get here, large part because of you, Rob. You know, your advice, and you guys are very wise. You're very smart. You know what you're doing. You've been here before, and obviously, but also to the viewers, whoever's watching this, if you want to grow a business, it's on you. It's not on anyone else. And it's about loving yourself and giving yourself what you feel like you deserve. And maybe you don't feel like you deserve to be in a better position than them, and then you work on that. But yeah, there's been a lot of factors that's brought us here, and a lot of opportunities that come up when we're doing what we love, and that's what I found to be the biggest thing, honestly. And it might be very not traditional. Most people don't really talk about it, but yeah, I would say just really focusing on that aspect. We won't do anything that we don't love. That's one of our biggest things. Is the reason why we're selling so much is, I mean, partly I've never taken a sales course in my life. Quite honestly, I don't plan on it. because I don't feel like I need it, because I'm doing what I love. And
Right on.
I think if I were to tell someone would ask me, like, what's the number one thing that either helped you get where you are now, or that you tell someone else, is do what you love. That's the number one thing. And it develops. It takes some time, but yeah. So I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. I think that belongs on a t-shirt. Everybody wins when you do what you love. And I think if anyone actually tried that and applied it and then got introspective for long enough to see, those are the people that are super successful, and those are the people that are just sort of drudging through life, going through the motions. And to your point about with this partnership and with delegating delegating responsibilities off to these other partners and team members, we can make money. And this is where your money is working for you, or your money is making money for you. Or, the great Warren Buffett said, if you cannot figure out how to make money when you're not at work, or make money in your sleep, you're not going to be successful. It's important that as entrepreneurs, we can at least take some of those hats off and hand them off to some people, or we are going to burn out and eventually not enjoy what we do, and then we get the opposite result of what we want.
Oh yeah, and I also think it's important to ask yourself, what is it that you deem as successful, and because success isn't always the same thing for everyone, and obviously money is a bonus, but if you're doing this because you want to be financially successful, that's a good thing to note. And what else would help you feel that way? Is it more relationships? Is it maybe you'd rather be doing the installs? Maybe that's what you love. Then but you want more money, so then maybe you should hire someone to do the leadership strategies. Maybe you should think about doing those things. And I would highly encourage anyone who's considering maybe scaling their business, who hasn't done this before, talk to Rob. Get involved with Legit 5. I'm not kidding. I see a lot of videos on the internet with people saying, "Oh, do this." If you feel called to it, if it resonates to you, Legit 5 is legit. Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
They're the best, in my opinion. So they give great advice. They're great leaders, and they help. They're really great at marketing and doing what they do. So it's been a great journey so far, and I plan to continue growing and scaling, and we're going to do big numbers really fast, and we're going to have a lot of fun. That's the biggest thing. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're already having a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. I couldn't complain about a single thing, so I'm very happy.
Well, awesome. Thanks for that plug, Nick. Thanks a lot. Now, and I promised Nick that I wouldn't take up his whole morning, and he's got a whole lot of jobs on the books today. So thank you again, Nick. Thanks for your story. Thanks for plugging me, but thanks for your story, because I think a lot of people are in that position and they would love to be able to see out. And I hope that today's show has provided some clarity. No matter what stage of the game you're at, I hope that you can take a minute and just kind of get some inspiration and some ideas, clear out some cobwebs from our talk with Nick and hearing his story. So thanks again, Nick, for jumping on. And take 30 seconds, say kind of what your last bit of what you want to say, and then we're going to sign off. We'll see everybody on the next show.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, I said this a dozen times, but I'll say it again. Do what you love. Don't let insecurity and fear lead your life. Don't let those things, that the stories that we've been told, that we're insecure, we don't have money's not going to come in. Don't let those things hold you back. Follow your heart. Do what you love. If what excites you, if the idea of running a business excites you, the idea of growth excites you, follow that. Close that loop if that's what you want to do, because otherwise it's just going to be itching in the back of your heart, and that's what will bring you success. And be it financial, maybe not. Maybe it's just relationships. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're helping other people. I believe from my journey that's what's going to get you there, is by following your heart and doing what you love. And I think everybody wins when you do that. It's happening for me. Our whole company. So me and Carter, everybody's winning. We're going to hire other people. We're finding a social media manager. We're going to do a customer service representative. We're gonna help other people win. And I know Tommy Mello talks about it all the time, making everybody win. And it really is true. You know, you want everybody to win, and everybody's winning when you're winning. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
Cool. That's awesome. We'll wrap it up here. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for taking some time out of your day. Go out and crush it, and inspire yourself. If you don't have anybody, look for ways to get inspired and motivated and then get a purpose. And when you do that, your customers and your relationships will see it, and you will grow and scale. So we're going to sign off now. Thanks again, Nick. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks for listening to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Robb Leishman. If you got value today, hit subscribe and share this with another Garage Door hero you know. This show is brought to you by the Legit 5 Garage Door marketing team, helping garage door companies grow and dominate their markets. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep winning.